I will say a few words about the development of the electronic commerce in Russia. And of course, you might think that at the moment Russia is experiencing not the best moment in the development. And you're right that the current conflict can dampen the Russian economy and e-commerce as part of it. But what will be in my presentation is some facts and figures from international research showing the potential of the market. And it's going to be short, I promise. And basically there are three things that I wanted to say. That first is that the market is far from reaching its maximum potential, and the potential is big. Second is that it's getting there pretty quickly because the rates of growth is very high. And finally, that there are international players as well as domestic who invest into the market, believing that it's worthwhile their time, money, and efforts to be in this market at this stage. So I start with some of the numbers. First of all, just by the sheer size of the country, that's an attractive consumer market. The population of Russia is 142 million people, and it is already the largest consumer market in Central and Eastern Europe. And according to a lot of experts, it should become the biggest consumer market in the whole of Europe by 2020. At the same time, only 59% of adult population have access to internet at the moment. And out of this amount, only 50% shop online. In 2013, 31 million Russians shopped online, so that makes 23% of the population over 18 years old. There are 50,000 online stores already in Russia of different sizes. But this represents only 2% of the total Russian retail market. And here Russia lags behind not just the European average, but even the global average, which is 6.5%. So there is quite a significant scope for development. My next slide is about how it grows. Actually, if you look at the figure at this circle, at the red circle, that 48% of Russian consumers made their first online purchase only in the last 2 years. So that's quite an early stage of development. And according to the forecasts, the market should double by 2018. At the moment, Russia ranks 5th in the world in terms of growth rates. It showed 25% growth of online trade last year, following China, Indonesia, Mexico, and India. And it also was 5th in the world in terms of growth of internet users, which number grew by 100% between 2008 and 2013. The key drivers are basically the two key drivers for growing e-commerce are the increasing broadband penetration and credit card usage. And the major barrier is distribution. I will say a few words later about it. Right, about kind of behavior of Russian consumers as far as e-commerce goes, the payment preferences. Generally speaking, still 93% of all domestic purchases are made on a cash-on-delivery terms. So the customers are still kind of have a general distrust in the safety of online transactions, and in certain cases even the honesty of online retailers. So this is still the preferred method of payment. Other method of payment growing at the moment are the electronic currencies. There are some local systems like Yandex Money, Web Money, and Kiwi Wallet. And international players also are entering the market, like PayPal began servicing the domestic transactions in late 2013. But again, it's really pretty recently. And the credit cards market in Russia is also growing at a very big pace. It grew over 47% in 2013, following a record-breaking 86% growth in 2012. And credit cards are used increasingly for cross-border transactions and tickets purchasing. So while the cash on delivery is still the preferred method of payment for domestic purchases, for cross-border purchases, credit cards are used, and they are mostly prepaid purchases. Regarding product categories, these are the top most popular product categories traded online. And these are household appliances and electronics, and clothing and footwear, which are taking the leading positions. There are also computers, car parts and mobile phones, and children's goods. You can see the dynamics. It's between 30 and 34% growth in each of the category. What is interesting here that actually the category like books and DVDs even didn't enter these top 6 positions. It's much less popular product category in Russia for buying online than, for example, car spare parts. But electronics and fashion represent the 57% of total online spending. These are some of the major domestic players, the online stores. Ozon.ru in the middle is kind of equivalent of Amazon, selling different types of goods. Yulmart is the major domestic electronics retailer, and that's actually was #1 online retailer according to the European top 500. And Wildberries, La Moda, Kupivip, they are all apparel retailers in Russia. Actually, in the European top 500 online retailers, there are 30 Russian ones. Now, just as an illustration, a little bit more about one of them, lamoda.ru. That's actually owned by Germany-based e-commerce company Rocket Internet. So that's another illustration that international players are investing into this market. Apart from just running the website and servicing the Russian market, they created their own delivery service, La Moda Express, for deliveries in the country. They service not only their deliveries, but also work for other companies. This is an interesting thing because in Russia, probably it's the only market in the world which doesn't have a reliable door-to-door delivery company which can deliver parcels. So the companies have to create something to tackle this issue. Also, La Moda launched a special service of creating and running a Russian online shop for other companies. So any company wanting to enter the Russian market in the form of the online store, then La Moda can offer this service for them and have all the procedures to take care of the delivery process at the same time. At the moment, they sell over 30 different UK brands. So that's kind of an opportunity for international companies. These are the most famous international brands present in Russia: the Alibaba, AliExpress, eBay, Amazon.com. They all developed their Russian web pages. Also very recently, only in 2013, eBay launched a fully localized Russian language marketplace with goods from merchants based outside of Russia. So basically, the Russian consumers can navigate the website fully in Russian, and they wouldn't even know that the goods are not coming from from within Russia, but it comes from different countries. And even before that, in 2012, eBay launched a Russian fashion application called eBay Moda, which means eBay Fashion, which is one of the most downloaded lifestyle apps in the Russian iTunes store. A few more words about Crossborder. As I said, because still the majority of Russian consumers prefer cash on delivery terms, it's only 20% of internet sales in Russia that are cross-border. In 2014, there were about 37 million parcels delivered in Russia. this is growing because the credit card usage is growing, and there are other facts. But there is one particularly strong barrier to this, is the introduction in the beginning of 2014, the limit of tax-free import, which is 1,000 euro per person per calendar month. So that, of course, limited significantly the amount of cross-border transactions. Also, you have to take into account customs clearance and import procedures for Russia. So if you're trading cross-border, quite naturally you'll have to incur additional charges and go into brokerage agreement with a Russian broker, for example. But at the same time, it's interesting that consumers, for example, if for domestic purchases they expect delivery next day, most often, for cross-border deliveries they are quite happy to wait. And generally speaking, the buying from international stores offers consumers a wider choice. It's a general perception that it's a wider choice and a cheaper price, even though the additional costs are incurred for transportation. So that's it. And if you're interested in the Russian market, UKTI Russia can help you with further advice and contacts. Thank you very much for your attention.